Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Matthew 5, verse 8. Good day, everyone. I am Pondon Divine Grace, and together with me are Niedo Rica Jane, Pacaña Jhoana Mae, Papalid Merceline, Potrido Sherwin, Quiros Raymond, and Reambonanza Alistaire. For today, we will tell you a story about the latest juggler, written by Anatole, France. It is a story about a juggler named Barnabas who became a monk, who lived a life of simplicity and faith to the Lord. This well-known Mauryan legend has been retold and reimagined in countless ways over the years. Before we proceed with the story, let us first get to know the author of the story.
So the author real name was Jacques Anatole Thibault. He born on April 16, 1844 in Paris, France. He died October 12, 1924 in Saint-Saur-Loire. Anatole France was born in Paris. His father managed a bookstore that was frequented by many notable writers and specialized in books and papers on the French Revolution. After graduating from college, Stanislas Franz worked in his father's bookstore in 1876. He was appointed librarian for the French Senate. So Franz began his literary career as a poet and a journalist. He took an important part in the Dreyfus Affair, supporting Emile Zola's manifesto and writing about it in the novel Monsieur Bergeret 1901. His output is vast, and though he is chiefly known as a novelist and a storyteller, there is hardly a literary genre that he did not touch upon at one time or another. A writer in the mainstream of French classicism, his style modeled on Voltaire and Fenelon, as well as his urban scepticism and enlightened hedonism, continue the tradition of the French 18th century. So this outlook on life, which appears in all his works, as explicitly expressed in collection of aphorism, Lihardin the Epicure in 1895 or The Garden of Epicurus. The Nobel Prize in Literature 1921 was awarded to Anatole France in recognition of his brilliant literary achievements. So characterized as they are by nobility of style, a profound human sympathy, a grace, and a true Gallic temperament. So that's all for my report. Next reporter.
Before we continue to the plot of the story, here are some factual trivia regarding the lady's juggler. Its original title was Our Lady's Juggler, Le Jongleur de Notre Dame, pronounced as Le Jongleur de Notre Dame. In translated version, The Juggler of Notre Dame. The story takes place in Anatole, France. Anatole France's story takes place in an abbey in France in the 14th century. It's thought to be the Benedictine Abbey of Cluny, medieval times, under the rule of King Louis, Abbey France in the 14th century. Now a juggler is a man who is skilled in keeping several objects in motion in the air at the same time by alternately tossing and catching them. Furthermore, the rest of the story will be continued by the next reporter.
Now let's go on to the story plot to be delivered by Karos Raymond and Pandan Divine Grace.
So, hello everyone, I am Raymond Quiros. For today, I will be discussing the story plot of the story The Lady's Juggler. So, let us start with the exposition of the story. So, in the days of King Louis, there lived a poor juggler with the name of Barnabas, a native of Campania who wandered from city to city performing tricks of skill and prowess. Barnabas is a poor juggler living in the streets. He performs every day as a livelihood. He is a simple man with a strong faith in God. He did not once commit an act that would disobey God nor hurt others. So next we have the conflict or the rising action. So Barnabas had difficulty making a living, so he was unable to work when the seasons did not permit him to. He had such a simple heart that although he suffered during the bad seasons, he suffered in silence. So one evening after a day of rain, as he was seeking some barn where he might be able to rest, Barnabas saw a monk going at his direction. As they were both walking at the same pace, they fell into conversation. When the monk was touched by the simplicity of the juggler, he invited him to enter the monastery of which he is the prior. And lastly, for the climax, journeying alone, he met a monk along his way. Barnabas told the monk that he would be willing to give up his life as a juggler to enter the monastic life. However, upon entering the monastery, Barnabas fell in misery as he saw other monks offer gracious and gracious gifts to the Virgin Mary. So, upon entering the monastery, Barnabas saw his fellow monks who celebrated most magnificently the cult of the Holy Virgin. So, each of them bringing her service all the knowledge and skill which God had given them. So the prior wrote books virtuously, so Brother Morris replicated them cunningly, while Brother Alexander decorated them delicately, and Brother Marbod busily sculpted. So perceiving so great competition in praise and so fine harvest of good work. So Barnabas fell to lamenting his ignorance and simplicity. So that's all for my part. Thank you.
Now for the following action. Once Barnabas heard of the story of a monk who could not recite anything but the Ave Maria. This monk was scorned for his ignorance. So Barnabas then went to the chapel every time it was deserted. One night, when the monks were talking together, Barnabas heard one of them speak of a monk whose holiness has been made manifest through a miracle. Upon hearing this, Barnabas' heart was filled with zeal, and he wanted to celebrate the glory of his Lady in heaven. Because of Barnabas' suspicious singularity conduct, the prior, with the company of the two of the oldest brother, checked on him. And lastly, for the denoma, in honor of the Virgin Mary, Barnabas juggled and performed tricks. The aged monks saw this and perceived it as a sacrilege. Just when they were set to remove Barnabas from the chapel, they saw the Virgin Mary descend from the altar and wipe the sweat from Barnabas' brow. They saw Barnabas before the image of the Holy Virgin. In honor of the Holy Virgin, he was performing the tricks which he had performed days brought him to the greatest fame. Not understanding that he thus putting his best talents at the service of the Holy Virgin, the aged brothers cried out against such sacrilege. But their disgust turned into jubilation when they saw the Virgin Mary slowly descend from the altar, and with a fold of her blue mantle wipe the sweat that streamed over the juggler's forehead. Then the prior, bowing his head down to the marble floor, repeated these words: Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Amen, echoed the brothers, bowing down to the floor. And that's it for the story plot of the Ladies Juggler. Now let's proceed to the characters.
So hi everyone, I'm Jhoana Mae Pacaña and I'm going to present to you the characters of Our Lady's Juggler. First character or the main character is Barnabas. He is a poor juggler living in the streets. He performs on the streets every day for a living through his own talent in juggling. He is a simple man living with a strong faith to God. He did not once commit an act that would disobey God nor hurt other people. Next character is the monk. He's the one who invited Barnabas to the monastic life. Next, Brother Maurice, the one who copied the treatise with a cunning hand on pages of parchment. Next slide, please. Next, Brother Alexander depicted Eve in the presence of Mary that one might see at the same time sin and its redemption, human humiliated and the virgin exalted. Last character is Brother Morgood, was one of the cherished children of Mary. He was ever busy cutting images of stone so that his beard, his eyebrows, and his hair are white with the dust in his eyes, perpetually swollen and full of tears. But he was a hardy and happy man in his old age. That's all my take. Okay, next reporter, please.
So, good morning everyone. I'm Resident Papalid and I will be discussing about the conflict and the theme. So, Barnabas had difficulty making a living. He was unable to work when the season did not permit him to. He had such a simple heart that although he suffered during the bad seasons, he suffered in silence. One evening after a day of rain, as he was seeking some barn where he might be able to rest, Barnabas saw a monk going at his direction. As they were both walking at the same pace, they fell into conversation. When the monk was touched by the simplicity of the juggler, he invited him to enter the monastery of which he is the prior. So he had never thought much about the origin of wealth nor about the inequality of human conditions. He firmly believed that if this world was evil, the next could not but be good, and this faith upheld him. Next slide. So we have the thing. The kindest and purest hearts are the ones who are truly in touch with the God. So people who are pure in heart like to help others, helping and giving to others are what makes them truly happy. And they never have any a and they never have any hidden intent behind their action. So they never expect to get anything in return. They only do it because of God and to make other people happy. So next slide, that's it, my report.
Moral of the story: the story of the juggler can teach us a valuable lesson about simplicity and the idea that everyone has something to share. Our talents and our gifts, whatever they may be, are important and worthy, especially the ones that may sometimes get overlooked. It seems that miracles tend to favor those who are humble to themselves and are true to themselves. And the juggler is a testament to that. And that concludes our story, The Latest Juggler. Thank you so much for listening and have a good day.